All right. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We are so glad to have you for our Dynamic Global Events webinar, Moving from Ladder to Lattice, your leadership lab for those who are ready to redefine success. This webinar comes to you as a special preview in honor of the 16th Advancing Women's Leadership in Pharma and Healthcare Conference happening March 24th and 25th in Sunnyside, San Diego, where we will also be blessed with Amanda's Voice in Leadership. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sarah Vincent. I am the Portfolio Director for Dynamic Global Events, and I am joined here with Amanda. And if you don't know her, she is the Chief Strategy Officer at Women as One, where she drives strategic growth, advocacy, and innovation to advance gender equity in cardiology. As a seasoned continuing professional development leader, Amanda has built programs that don't just check boxes, they elevate visibility, sustain careers, and deliver the kind of impactful education and professional development that actually changes trajectories. Over the next hour, Amanda is going to challenge the old ladder mindset, invite you into a more expansive lattice model, and guide you through practical reflection to design a version of success that actually fits your life, your values, and your ambitions. This lab, as I mentioned, is a runway to the 16th Advancing Women's Leadership in Pharma and Healthcare Summit, where we will go deeper on these themes with women and allies across pharma, biotech, healthcare, and beyond. You can secure your spot now with super early bird pricing, and as a thank you for joining this session, you'll receive an exclusive webinar discount to use toward your registration, which Jackie, if you wouldn't mind pushing below, would be amazing. As a quick note, before we begin, we may not be able to address every question in detail during this webinar. Some questions may be carried over in the future to the Unpacks Live in San Diego, where you'll have the opportunity to workshop those challenges, connect with peers, and build your own lattice of support in real time. Without further ado, I introduce you to Amanda.
Thanks so much, Sarah. Can you hear me okay? Perfect. Let me pull this up. Looks like I am sharing. You can hear me okay? I'm not on mute. Perfect. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. Like Sarah said, my name is Amanda Jamrogiewicz. I'm Chief Strategy Officer at Women as One. I'm excited to do this webinar today for a couple of reasons. Thank you, Sarah and Jackie, for the invitation, but specifically because I have recently made a big career move earlier this year in April, and co-wrote an article in the Alliance Almanac back in, I guess it was September, talking about the transition. And I thought it would be quite timely to be able to share the transition, some of the thoughts around it, and the way that we can maybe explore different ways to professional growth and development. A little bit of background on me. I've been in independent medical education for almost 13 years. And I've worked specifically with continuing medical education. I've been in accreditation, business development and strategy, educational strategy, and I've always been passionate about gender equity. Fun fact is my undergraduate degree many years ago had a focus in feminist studies. So I've always had a really big passion for gender equity. So I've been working in kind of the women's medical education health space for a while. And when Women as One, the organization I'm currently with now, was looking for someone to lead up strategy, I had to take that jump for many reasons. And it was a big pivot for me from where I was in my career to where I am now. And I asked myself a lot of questions. It was a very kind of fearful time, but exciting time. And I feel like this presentation and kind of the thoughts around it were driven by a lot of the thoughts that I had at the time. So I'm not going to share too much now. I would love to jump in. Today, we're going to explore a different way to think about career growth. One that's less about climbing a ladder and more about designing a lattice that works for you. Just to set the stage for everyone, we're going to start with a little bit of data, talk about some numbers and statistics. In the middle, we're going to do kind of a hands-on workshop. You can take part if you'd like. Would love it if you did. It's only going to be about 10 minutes long. You need a piece of paper and a pen. Very easy. Hopefully you can get just some creative juices and thinking going. And at the end, please stay because I'm really excited to have 3 different peer reflections pre-recorded from the business healthcare aspect of some of my women colleagues. So let's get going. All right, let's start with the reality that many of us feel. Women are strongly represented in healthcare and life sciences, but that representation drops sharply as you go up that leadership chain. In biopharma, we go from more than half of the workforce to barely a third in leadership, and medtech is showing a similar pattern. This third data point is across all industries globally, and you can see we're improving a tiny bit, but that parity number is very far away. And so this leads me, and I guess us, to ask, is the issue really talent or is it structure? So here's the business case I want to set up. Data says that organizations with more women in senior roles outperform. We see higher profitability, stronger innovation, and improved culture in these organizations. Nearly every study in the global health sector shows that women's leadership has a positive impact. So the question becomes, if the talent is here and the benefits are clear, what's getting in the way? So this is where I love to bring in the ladder versus lattice approach. The traditional ladder model that I feel many of us have seen and followed for a long time assumes that if you work hard, you follow the steps, and you climb rung by rung, you'll advance. But research shows that women specifically face invisible constraints. I'm sure this isn't going to come at a surprise to anyone here. Fewer role enhancing assignments, more bias, confidence penalties, and leadership identity conflicts. So I say that the ladder wasn't built with women or us in mind. And for many, it feels narrow and prescriptive. And that's why perhaps so many of us feel stuck, not because we're unqualified, but because the structure is too rigid. So I'd love to get a pulse from the audience. We have a great group here. I love everyone saying hello from different locations. I'm just north of Denver. It's a beautiful day. And so I believe Jackie and Sarah are pushing a poll out to get the pulse of which of these best describes your path so far. And there's no right or wrong answer. That your answer might not even be there, but it's be good to just see if we can notice some patterns. Click on the polls. Sarah, is there a way to see the responses?
So I'm looking at the chat right now. I think we have to just do it through there. Right now, we've got 2 votes for a zigzag through roles or passions. We've got 2 votes for a lattice, lots of pivots, connections, and experimentation. And an evolving path I'm still defining is also an answer. So far, we've gotten a few.
Oh, that's great. I think the zigzag is, nobody has voted for the straight ladder, which is good.
Not yet.
Confirms. We have a lattice, lots of pivots. No jungle gym. That's good. I feel like I have definitely been in a jungle gym situation, but maybe that's a day-to-day thing. All right. Thank you for voting. We're going to have one more poll later to see how we're doing. So moving along, let's talk about the lattice approach to professional growth and development. Unlike the lattice reflects how I think careers actually work today. So lateral and cross-functional moves build capability. They expose us to new relationships, and they position us for leadership. And organizations that support career lattices see higher engagement and retention because people can progress in multiple directions, not just upwards. I like this statistic. According to Talent Guard in 2018 and Forbes in 2024, lattice careers allow upward, lateral, or diagonal moves that build new skills, experiences, and relationships, not just titles, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well. So this is where the idea of possibility thinking comes in. I think there's a lot of different methodologies that are in the same category as possibility thinking. You could think about it as creative thinking, solutions-based, but I like the idea of possibility thinking and setting that up as the mindset behind the lattice, because it allows us to choose curiosity over certainty. It forces us to ask what is possible here. And specifically, the possibility thinking model says, let's take small experiments instead of waiting for the perfect conditions to present themselves. It's designing a path that aligns with your energy and purpose rather than defaulting to someone else's blueprint. And specifically, I like the idea of action mattering the most. And that's what I like about possibility thinking, because it really forces you to take action and to take small experiments. I'm going to join the conference here in March, and I'm going to base the talk off of some of the endurance athletic mindset methodologies that I use in my professional career. And I will use one now, which is, if anybody's ever ran or started a new workout regimen or wanted to, every single step just starts with one step, right? One small start to starting something new, and running is a perfect example of that. So we often think clarity has to come first, but I love to think that clarity actually comes from action. So in this article I mentioned, I co-wrote with Samantha Kaburi-Starr, we said confidence doesn't come first, action does. And that's kind of the methodology behind possibility thinking is every small experiment earns you insight and it helps build your confidence. And this is how your lattice grows, not from big leaps, but from consistent intentional motion. So I love this slide because it gives us kind of a snapshot, and it forces you to look at the shift. So the ladder asks, what should I do next? While the lattice asks, what could I create? One model is narrow and prescriptive, and the other is expansive, creative, multi-directional. And I want to make a point here that I truly believe that for women, the lattice reflects how we actually advance, which is through relationships, relationship building and networking, experimentation, value alignment and purpose. We'll hear about that from one of our peers, and cross-functional growth. Okay, so we know that breadth, not just upward movement, is what prepares women for leadership and senior roles. Cross-functional experience, lateral moves, job crafting, these build what researchers call, and I love this term, experience capital. So let's not look at your CV and your resume and look at the different titles you've had. Let's build professional experience and let's build experience capital that allows us to grow outwards. And this is the mindset. Let's not climb, let's design. Okay, so this is where we're going to get into our short workshop. We only have 3 slides. We're going to try to make this concept a little personal and practical. And so this is the moment where we move from thinking about this into action. So if you have a piece of paper and a pen, that'd be great. Just grab those. I'm sure you can see on the screen my very technical schematic that I put together. It doesn't have to look like this, but let's start by building the first draft of your lattice, not your whole career map, just a snapshot. So in the center of the page, write your current role or your focus. Around it, draw 4 circles or what we're calling nodes, focuses, whatever you'd like to call it. And think of these as milestones, experiences, projects, or relationships that have shaped your path. And I want to make a point that it doesn't have to be positive milestones, positive experiences. Maybe there's some projects you worked on you didn't like. It doesn't matter. Just kind of build a few experiences within this workshop that you think have really defined your career. And don't worry about making it pretty. It should be fast and intuitive. And just for you, I'm not going to ask anybody to share it. I might share mine. I'm going to work on it as well. So as you add these nodes, draw lines between the places that connect. So moments that influenced each other or skills that built on one another. And I'm going to give you maybe a minute and put on some tunes to try to get some creativity flowing. So go for it. Okay, let's take a pause there. If you're not done, you can finish it later. So the next step in this exercise is to identify open spaces. So these are the areas that represent curiosity, growth, or potential. They're nodes that aren't there yet, or maybe are tangential or parallel to one of the nodes that you already created. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask yourself, what skills do you want to grow? One example for me would be a couple years ago, the AI boom was happening and I was very scared. I had no clue what AI was to an extent, how it was going to affect me. So I jumped in and started doing some education there. So perhaps AI is a curiosity of yours. Perhaps data is a curiosity. Ask yourself, what ideas have you quietly carried for a while? Do you want to get into more public speaking? Do you want to publish more? Do you love animals? It could be personal. It doesn't have to be professional in nature. This is kind of the idea, is to get your creative juices flowing. And then where do you feel pulled, even if you're not sure why? And this could be good or bad, right? Maybe you're pulled into outcomes measurement or data, and you're not even sure if that's a positive or negative. Just start filling in these spaces around the different nodes you have. And these are going to be your possibility points. Don't do anything with them yet. Just start filling in the open spaces. Okay, last part of the workshop, and this is the last layer, and this one is important because the idea is to look back at everything you created and circle the ones that give you energy. So circle the nodes, whether they're the possibility, or excuse me, the open spaces. Circle those that give you energy, where you're excited about it, you felt passionate, confident, or aligned in what you were working on. And then what I want you to just put an X, or I've even put some question marks around the ones that don't really feel like the right fit. Maybe that they drain you. I have P&L, for example, on mine. And maybe that one's an X out of that. We'll see. But put the X's through the ones that you feel aren't super aligned. Maybe they're off center, maybe they deplete you. And as you work through this, I want you to see how the pattern hopefully is revealing about potential burnout, potential areas of misalignment. These areas, a lot of people think that burnout is actually overworking, but a lot of the time it's about energy misalignment, right? And so this type of project, whether it hopefully gets you to think creatively, obviously you don't have control over everything. Hopefully it gives you an idea of kind of the direction you really want to go. So I'm going to play a little bit of music for you to finish up this exercise, and then we'll move on to some of those peer reflections. Okay, we're going to stop there. I hope that there were maybe some new ideas you came out. My beautiful schematic has a lot of cross-pollination on it. So feel free to keep it. Feel free to use it. I hope at least it got you creatively thinking, or maybe just thinking about your lattice in a different way. So here's what I would invite to you in the in the celebration of possibility thinking, is design some small tests for yourself. Give yourself an experiment, make sure it has purpose, make sure it's small, and then give yourself an action, because without action, nothing's obviously going to happen. But I love this data point from Gallup that shows that even one stretch project or quarter per quarter, increases engagement and purpose dramatically. So you don't need to take a huge leap. You just need a small test. So that's what I would ask or invite you all to do today. And I would love to hear, we've got another poll. This is the last poll, just to see if there's anything resonating with you with regards to this possibility experiment. What's feeling the most aligned with your lattice right now? Which one is choose one that sparks energy, not the one that feels most logical. Okay, votes are coming in. I personally said I want to do a cross-functional or lateral project. I would love to get with my program team and see how we can work on enhancing our impact reporting, because right now it's really just been in their camp, and I think that would be really fun. We have most votes right now for starting a new conversation or connection. I love that. We have explore. Sarah says that's hers. Explore a new skill or interest area. Love that too. I feel like in this day and age, it's really easy to find that information out there. And even if it's a 20 or 30-minute course, just opens up your mind to something new. So this is great. Thank you for participating. Okay, this is my favorite part of the webinar today. So after we've now mapped our lattices, hopefully got some brain juices flowing. Now let's hear from some of our peers who've lived the lattice. They've lived the ladder and then the lattice. These are real stories of nonlinear growth, purpose-driven decisions, and possibility thinking and action. So as you listen, notice what resonates, not to compare, but to expand your own sense of what's possible. And I hope I did this right, Sarah, by sharing my audio. We'll find out.
I'm sure you did great.
Okay, let me know.
Hi, my name is Karen Roy, and I'm currently CEO and co-founder of Lattice. When I think back on my own career path, there were several moments I'd say that didn't follow the traditional ladder model, but the most significant shift was when I stepped out of the corporate world entirely and decided to work for myself. I was burned out at the time, and if I'm honest, the shift started from there, but underneath the burnout was a hunger for something different. I wanted flexibility, more intellectual satisfaction, and an environment where my values didn't feel strained. I reached a point where staying felt more misaligned than leaving, and then an opportunity presented itself. I was laid off, so my choice was look for another similar position and continue that path, or listen to that voice inside me and take a chance. Of course, the doubts showed up immediately and very loudly. Who do you think you are doing this? Who's going to hire you as a consultant? What if I'm overestimating myself and walking away from stability? But this is where possibility thinking quietly helped me move forward. Instead of only asking, what if it fails?
I wonder, Sarah, if I didn't do the... Let me try something.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe you could just share.
I'm wondering, yeah, I don't also share tab audio is on entire screen. Oh, here, I don't think I did it. Thank you, audience. I think this is my...
I asked, what if it works?
Is that better?
What if I can design my own days?
Okay,
Build
I'm
something
gonna...
that I can Roy, and I'm
Here we go.
currently
Thank you.
CEO and co-founder at Infograph Ed. When I think back on my own career path, there were several moments, I'd say, that didn't follow the traditional ladder model, but the most significant shift was when I stepped out of the corporate world entirely and decided to work for myself. I was burned out at the time, and if I'm honest, the shift started from there, but underneath the burnout was a hunger for something different. I wanted flexibility, more intellectual satisfaction, and an environment where my values didn't feel strained. I'd reached a point where staying felt more misaligned than leaving, and then an opportunity presented itself. I was laid off, so my choice was look for another similar position and continue that path, or listen to that voice inside me and take a chance. Of course, the doubts showed up immediately and very loudly. Who do you think you are doing this? Who's going to hire you as a consultant? What if I'm overestimating myself and walking away from stability? But this is where possibility thinking quietly helped me move forward. Instead of only asking, what if it fails? I asked, what if it works? What if I can design my own days, build something that actually energizes me? And if it doesn't work, what was the real cost? I didn't have dependents, so I could take a risk without jeopardizing anyone else's stability. I did seek input from people I trusted, and they all said, go for it. That external perspective helped steady me. And then when I did start out on my own, I gave myself 3 questions to saying yes to any opportunity. Will I learn something new? Can I work with people I like and respect? And then let's be honest, is it gonna pay? And those guardrails helped me stay aligned through the early uncertainty. And then I shifted again, recognizing a new fulfilling opportunity, and co-founded my company alongside an ex-colleague with a shared vision. And now 14 years later, I know that I designed a life that fits me better than climbing the ladder further ever would have. I see career growth as something that is deeply individual. There isn't one definition that fits everyone. At this stage in my own career, I'm closer to the end, so growth feels more like refinement maybe than pursuit of some next big milestone. But for others who are still shaping their path, I encourage you to explore the edges of your role. Look for projects or assignments that give you a taste of something different. Try work that sits adjacent to your current responsibilities, or maybe even outside of them. That could be cross-functional collaboration, a volunteer role, or a small side hustle if you can. Sometimes you need to experience something directly to know whether it's moving in the right direction. And then also leverage people around you, but you have to be specific. Saying, I'm ready for the next step, or I want more, doesn't give your network anything to work with. When you can articulate what actually motivates you, lights you up, what you want to learn, the kind of challenges you're seeking, others can connect the dots much more effectively. And for me, possibility thinking is really about getting honest with yourself about what would fulfill you and allowing yourself to explore an idea even if you're not sure it's the final answer. The first possibility you identify may not be the one you end up pursuing, but it will teach you something, and each step of that exploration nudges you towards what will ultimately fit. And I would add this: time is precious. Don't wait for permission for someone else to explore this. Give yourself permission first. And if I could tell my younger self one thing, it would be, don't measure your success with someone else's yardstick. It becomes a stick you use against yourself. Choose your own measures, because they're really the only ones that matter.
That's Karen Roy of Infograph Ed. Karen claims that she did not plan to wear a blouse with lattice patterns on there, but I love it. I love her story. I want to just make a couple points about Karen. I think about her as possibility thinking in action. Karen's turning point came when burnout revealed a deeper misalignment, right? She wanted work that felt more flexible, fulfilling, and values aligned. And I think she'd be fine with me sharing that she was within pharma industry. Instead of returning to the same ladder after her layoff, she used it as an opening to design something new. Her mindset shift was powerful, moving from "what if this fails" to "what if this works," which I think is possibility thinking in action. I love the guardrails she made for herself. Will I learn? I love this. I think it's something that women use more. Will I like the people? Do I want to work with these people? I think that's an emotional connection that women are gravitated to. And I love that she used that as her guardrail. And of course, will it pay? She followed those, or she created those into consulting, and ultimately co-founded her own company that's been wildly successful. Her advice to others is to explore the edges of your role, which I really like. Try adjacent work and be specific about what you want so others can help you. And then her core message is fantastic. It might be an analogy from her Irish roots, but I love it in any case, which is give yourself permission and don't measure success with someone else's yardstick. All right, let's move on to Griselda.
Hi, my name is Griselda Butler. I am Director of Independent Medical Education Strategy and External Relations at Otsuka Pharmaceutical. One way that I might describe my career journey is purposeful. And that's a word I continue to come back to as I think about what has been a nonlinear path in my career, and also how I'm defining success nowadays versus how I may have defined it 10 or 15 years ago. In fact, it makes me think of a particular choice that I made when I was working for a global medical communications agency, and I was really on a path to leadership and a potential path to the C-suite. I had an opportunity to continue working in this agency model, doing promotional medical education. And as someone who values the role of educators, as much as I loved my team, as much as I loved working with my clients, I couldn't get over the fact that for years I had been the one designing and developing content and creating education that was impactful and measurable and valuable to the healthcare providers who were able to participate in those educational interventions. And that in my current role, I did none of that. I did not have the opportunity to be as creative even when I sought out opportunities to use my creativity. Everything that I did was essentially beholden to me doing what was promotional in nature and sticking to the product insert. And it started to wear on me, and I made a decision that I would leave the agency and that I would go back to working in independent medical education. It definitely took me off a path of, associate, VP, in agency models, there's a tendency to be able to advance more quickly. And in a way, I heard a lot of people at the time saying that I was setting myself back. But really, I was getting back to myself, that original idea of purposeful and meaningful work. And that I was more than my title. And that a title couldn't really convey the passion and excitement and curiosity that was piqued in me doing work that I felt was meaningful and that would have an impact on patients' lives. And ultimately, that was a choice I made, and that nonlinear choice led me to, a number of successive moves. And ultimately, I still landed in a place where I feel successful. And others may not define it that way, but I've had many successes along the way. And I feel like there are many more successes for me to have. And that's not something that someone else can define for me, not even an employer or an external force or family or friends, all well-meaning, trying to guide you and direct you to maximize your career opportunities. Ultimately, my goal is to maximize my life. And my life is more than my employment. It's more than the job I do every day. That's a part of who I am, but the more I'm able to do purposeful and meaningful work, the more I know that the other word that comes to mind for me is community. I want to be purposeful in my work so that I can build community. And those communities are communities built around health and well-being and autonomy. And that work may look different from day to day, and it may be in a different setting than I'm currently in. But I'm ready for the opportunity and ready for the challenges that brings. So, yes, purposeful, meaningful community. Thank you.
All right. I know Griselda's a little soft-spoken, so I apologize if the sound was a little low. You might have to turn her up. But I want to kind of recap Griselda's journey because she is the most purposeful woman that I know from in my career, and she uses her purpose as a compass. She truly does. It is phenomenal. From her story, she was on a fast linear leadership track at a global agency, but she felt increasingly constrained, both creatively, intellectually, and in terms of meaningful impact. There's a lot of folks out there, and I think women are a big part of that want to see the impact that they're making in their professional careers. Her pivotal nonlinear decision was choosing to leave that path and return to independent medical education. She's with Otsuka Pharmaceuticals, a move that others viewed as setting herself back, but she says it was actually getting back to herself. Oops, sorry. She realized she was more than her title, and I think that's important, and that success couldn't be defined by external expectations. Instead, she chose creativity, purpose, and impact. Her story really illustrates how lattice moves and not ladder moves can open doors to meaningful, fulfilling success. And I like her message that your life is more than your job, and purpose is a compass, let it guide you. So I love her message at the end. Okay, here's our last one. This is Miss Audrey Torno. She's a little bit louder than Griselda, so you should be good to hear her.
Hi, everyone. I'm Audrey Torno, Managing Partner at Excalibur Medical Education, as well as President of the Alliance for Continuing Education in the Health Professions. If I had to describe the approach to my career, it would be that saying yes got me a lot of different places. So say yes to opportunities. To me, success wasn't necessarily about reaching the top rung of a ladder, but it was about feeling good about the work that I was doing and knowing that my voice was not only being heard, but being taken seriously. It also meant I was contributing to my field and having a balance between work and home. Now, my biggest career shift happened the moment I stopped waiting for someone else to recognize my abilities. For a very long time, I was told quietly behind closed doors that I was doing a great job, that my contributions were truly appreciated, and that the next step in the ladder was coming. But months turned into years. I worked hard and treated anywhere I was employed as if it was my business, making decisions based on what I would do or expect to have happen if the proverbial buck stopped with me. But a series of events occurred that finally showed me undeniably that my work environment was never going to change. I would never be seen as good enough. And with the support of my family, I resigned without another plan in place. I needed time and space to take a huge step back and figure out what was best for me. I had spent years trying to prove that I was ready to others, but what that did is made me question myself. Becoming a business owner wasn't a polished plan. It was a decision to bet on myself, to stop asking for permission to grow, and to start creating the kind of work that I actually believed in. Innovative, interactive, meaningful. And I've been a business owner now for 5 years, and I can confidently say that if I had stayed in my former role, today everything would look the same. Not a thing would have changed. The carrot would still have been dangled in front of me, but it would still be out of reach, and I would still be waiting for permission to take that next step. That's why I can truly tell you, if you wait for the system to make space for you, you might be waiting forever. Today, I don't think about my career as a ladder at all. It's a lattice. Growth doesn't only go up, it's like a word find, horizontal, vertical, diagonal. For me, that means saying yes to projects that stretch me, surrounding myself with people who challenge me, and always staying curious about what's next. Possibility thinking. It's about trusting that a step sideways or even a step back can still move you forward in the long run, and that it's okay to fail. That's when we often learn the most. We just have to actively work to respond thoughtfully to those failures. My career lattice has taught me that the most meaningful growth happens when you stop chasing other people's definition of success and start designing your own. And if I could tell my younger self one thing, it would be this. The most important person that you need to hear tell you that you can be successful is the person staring right back at you in the mirror.
All right, that's Audrey. For anyone that doesn't speak Jersey, she said mirror at the end. I had to give her a little flack for the mirror, but we love Audrey. She describes her career as a series of saying yes. Yes to stretch, yes to curiosity, yes to opportunity. Her turning point came when she realized she'd been waiting for recognition that wasn't coming. And she stopped waiting for that permission and chose herself, even that if that meant stepping away with no plan in place. She now sees her career more as a lattice, growth in every direction, horizontal, vertical, diagonal. I love her idea of a word find. For her, possibility thinking means trusting that a sideways or even a backward step can still move you forward. And her core message is incredibly empowering. The most important person who needs to believe you can be successful is the person in the mirror. So big shout out and thanks to Griselda, Karen, and Audrey. These are big mentors of mine for the last baker's dozen of years. And I won't belabor because we've gone through these, but just a quick snapshot of some peer tested moves you might be able to incorporate in your tests. So from Karen, can you reframe the questions you're asking? What if this fails to what if it works? For Griselda, maybe choose purpose over titles. I know it's hard sometimes with the constraints we have in our careers, but if we keep that passion and that purpose in mind, hopefully that lattice grows, right? We learned that choosing purpose over titles isn't a setback, it's a strategy. And then Audrey is stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for something to happen and come to you. She realized waiting for recognition that wasn't coming, so she chose herself. And that non-linear move became the catalyst for her biggest growth. So I would love to anchor this towards the end to say, what action will you take? Another data point from Gallup's research reinforces what we already know, that small, consistent experiments build purpose and clarity. So I would ask you all to pick one and try it and try that experiment. I would love if anybody wants to share. You don't have to. You don't have to come on screen if you don't want to, although Sarah holds those reins. But if you want to drop in the chat some different ideas or ways that you want to try these different experiments, would love to hear it. I think one thing that came out for me in this experiment, something that I wrote down, is market analytics and being able to jump more into a project that gets me more understanding of, especially now that I'm in professional advocacy, what can I do there? Is there a small project? Can I work with my programs team on some impact reporting? So those are a few things. I also thought about connections as well, which was another experiment that came up in the poll. So I think making good connections and being able to have those types of meaningful conversations with like-minded women in the industry too. So I don't know if anybody else wants to share in the chat. Feel free to pop it in there. I'm going to go to my last slide at the same time. At the end of the day, success isn't about climbing, it's about creating. Women who define success by impact and learning stay longer with their organization, feel more fulfilled, and support others. And this is the core of that Lattice leadership. So as you leave today, ask yourself not what's next on my ladder, but what's possible on my Lattice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Ladies, if y'all have any questions, please feel free to put those into the chat. If you'd like to share where you are in your journey, we want to hear from you, and we want to see you. We want to see. Let's see. We have a question and answer open. Oh, that was just our poll. Y'all, we want to see you in San Diego, March 24th and 25th. If you do not have plans, please consider joining us during our Advancing Women's Leadership in Pharma and Healthcare. We have 27 confirmed wonderful speakers, one of which is Amanda, and I'm just so freaking excited for y'all to see her in action and to get to experience what we have to offer during that event. We're going to put in the chat the discount coupon code again. So if y'all want to use that, please, by all means, we want to save you money. We want to empower you to feel inspired and ready to take on your next challenges and whatever that may mean for you and your personal growth. So thank you all so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you. Yes, thank you, Jackie, for posting that back in there. It was so nice to meet and see you guys. If y'all have any other questions, we'll be around.